All right, well, I am going to talk to you about an emergency car kit. This is all my emergency stuff that I keep in my car. And I'm going to go through all of it. And also, my son is passing around some, well, he's kind of passing around. Oh, and my husband will help him. And it's basically a list of what I have and also just some general tips. First of all, I just want to talk a little bit about why you should consider having a car kit if you don't already have one. If you have children, then you probably already have a stash of some things in your car that you would consider, for an emergency. For instance, when he was potty training, I always had 2 changes of clothes and the diaper bag with extra diapers, and it was a massive bulging bag that I always had in the car. Just because we had emergencies all the time during that time. And this is kind of no different. So when it, winter time, the roads get slick, there's snow, it's really cold, and so there's certain things that you should probably think about having in your car in case, something happens, like you veer off the road into a ditch and you're stuck. You might be stuck there for an hour or 2 before you can get pulled out, especially if it's a really bad night and it's happening to a lot of people. You might have to wait for a tow truck for a while. And so you really want to be prepared for that, especially if you do have children in the car or other people with you who might have, not special needs, but needs in general. So first, I want to talk a little bit at the bottom half. I'm going to go a little bit backwards. The bottom half of the little handout talks about some tips. So kind of like what Brother Brock suggested, the very first one says not to let your gas get below half tank. So he gave you the very practical reason, because it'll help your car. It's better for your car. My reason is, it's also kind of practical, and it's that if something happens and you get stranded in your car, if you have at least a half a tank of gas, you'll be able to turn the car on every now and then and heat yourself up. If you run out of gas, you're not going to be able to do that. So check the weather every time before you drive. Even if you're just going to go around the corner, if there's a weather advisory or something out, you might want to rethink your plans. And if you're going to be driving a long distance, it's a good idea to check the weather for every stage of your journey, not just your weather where you are, but if you're driving, 600 miles, check for the entire route to make sure that your destination isn't blanketed in snow, even though you're sitting pretty, I don't know. Don't leave your car and begin walking for help if you absolutely, for some reason, need to get out of your car, if you know exactly where you are and you know that 10 feet that way is a gas station and I'm just going to go get gas, fine. But under any other circumstances, you really should try to stay in your vehicle. You have a much better chance of being found that way. And you can tie a red piece of cloth to your antenna. You could set out a road flare or a strobe if you have some kind of a strobe. They sell those at Harbor Freight or any kind of, Walmart probably has them. But anything to let people going by know, hey, there's somebody in that car, there's somebody there who needs help. If you are, I already read that, okay. Do not run your car constantly, especially if it's snowing, because if your exhaust pipe fills up with snow, you could be sending carbon monoxide into your car, and you could die. So if it is snowing a lot, and maybe you can't open your car door, but you want to run the engine, just try to crack a window so that you can get some air circulation. It'll let some cold air in, but then it'll let the bad air out as well. Ration your food and water. Now this is extreme. If we were in South Dakota or North Dakota, this might be a little more practical. Hopefully, where you are driving right now in your daily life, you're not going to get stuck in such a way that you would be stuck in the car for days and days. But these things do happen to people. I feel like just a year or so ago, there was a story about a little girl who survived for a few days in an upside-down car that had gone over the side of the road, and nobody knew the car was there. But she was able to eat like some granola bars or snacks that she found in the car. But if you were in that kind of a situation where you were trapped in your vehicle and you were worried, hey, we're not in a visible spot, nobody's going to be able to see us down here, maybe try to slowly go through your little granola bar stash. If you often travel with your pets, make sure that you have extra food and water for them in your vehicle as well. I know a lot of people who like to travel with their dogs, especially. I have cats, and we don't travel with our cats. They never come with us. But I know people like to bring their dogs, and especially if you're traveling somewhere far away, make sure that you have like a bag of dog food, maybe an extra gallon of water, because you won't be the only one hungry if you're stuck on the side of the road for 24 hours waiting for a tow truck or something. Make sure your car's maintenance is up to date, which is what we just heard about from Brother Brock. And then just be aware of who often travels with you. So for instance, if you often have your children with you, make sure you have some things, some little extra things that they might enjoy. If there's anybody who you usually travel with who requires certain medications, make sure that you have some extra medications in case, once again, if you're stuck in your car for 24 hours and you need to take this medicine every 12 hours, then you need to have access to that. And the most important tip is to just stay safe. Just be safe. Use common sense. Don't go out if there's a weather advisory and a road advisory and they tell you not to leave your house. Just don't leave your house. That would be ideal. Okay, so now I'm just going to go through what I have in my kit really quick. First of all, I have water. I have 2 gallons of water, and one important thing to notice about water, this has been in my trunk and it is full of ice. This will probably happen to you as well if you carry water in your trunk in frigid temperatures. I did read a tip online, I haven't tried it, but they said if you carry water in your car, to maybe put it in a cooler. You can get one of those little 6-pack drink coolers. If you put the water in the cooler, it'll take longer for it to freeze. They also recommended opening the cooler when you're running heat in your car, when you're driving, and closing it when you're getting out of your car. And that will help keep the water from freezing. Another thing I have is a road atlas. And you don't necessarily have to have the entire road atlas, but a map, maybe at least of your area, in case, or at least where you're traveling. So if you're traveling far away, it's good to have a map of where you are, where you're going. So suppose you run off the road, you might not know exactly where you are, but if you're able to look at the map and kind of figure out, well, I might be between this mile marker and this mile marker, if you can call for help and tell them your exact location, that will get help to you quicker. Kitty litter. I think this is a pretty well-known tip, but I'm going to tell you anyway. If you get stuck in the snow, which is probably, I think that's happened to me almost every winter that I've lived in Ohio. I've at one point or another gotten myself kind of stuck in the snow. And kitty litter is a great way to get some traction under your tires so that so they won't just be spinning in the snow, so you can get some traction and get yourself out of the snow. So it's always good to have a bag of kitty litter. It also helps to put if you put it in your trunk, it gives you some extra weight, which will also help you trying to get through the snow and get through slick spots. Okay, and then this is just an ice scraper, which everybody probably has, because if you don't have one, then you're in serious trouble around here. But this is just a brush scraper combination, and that's always in my car too. So this is the actual kit, so to speak, that I put in the car. And so this has some more, like I said, some of this, like the map and the scraper and the kitty litter, these would be generic things I would have in the car in winter anyway. So one thing that you should probably put in your emergency kit is extra pair of gloves, extra hat. If you're just driving, 20 minutes away, you might not bring your hat and your gloves if you're just going to the grocery store, but if you go off the side of the road and you're stuck there for 4 hours and you try to dig yourself out, you might want to have warm hands, warm ears, while you're trying to shovel your car out. So it's good to have an extra set of gloves, hat, boots. Also, I'm wearing my boots. In the winter, I pretty much always wear my boots just as my normal shoes. But if you don't, I read a tip online that said just keep your boots in your car. If you need them at home, just go out to your car and get them and then shovel the driveway or whatever. But if you don't, then just keep them in your car, and that way you always have them in case you do have to get out and shovel yourself out. Talking about shoveling yourself out, I would recommend a garden shovel, not a garden shovel, a camp shovel. They're little collapsible shovels. You can buy them. They're pretty reasonably priced, but I thought we had one, I couldn't find it, so a garden trowel would probably also work. And this, once again, to just kind of help if your car is really stuck in the snow, you might be able to dig yourself a little trench and wiggle your way out of the snow. That, combined with the kitty litter, could really help get you unstuck. Glow sticks, if you're stuck in the car late at night, if you don't have batteries for your flashlight, or I don't know, you don't want to turn the dome lights on to waste battery or whatever. Glow sticks, does it say how long? These were cheap, these were like 50 cents. It just says lasts for hours. Just break one at a time if you're not sure of how long they will last for. They do sell, like in the camping section of a lot of stores, they sell heavy duty glow sticks that will last for hours and hours and hours and hours. And I know you can buy also like battery operated glow sticks that also have a strobe, they also have a flashlight, and those, I think they're only about $5. But like I said, this was 50 cents, so I'm gonna jump up here now since I was talking about flashlights. I have two different flashlights in here right now. One is a headlamp, and I think a headlamp is a really good thing in case you are, if it's nighttime, if it's dark, and you're out there trying to do stuff with your car, you're gonna wanna be hands-free if you can. So you don't have to hold a flashlight and do something. A headlamp would be great for that. And then, of course, just a regular old run-of-the-mill flashlight. And I keep the batteries separate, that way they won't accidentally get turned on and die. And be aware also that in cold temperatures, batteries die quicker. So it's a good idea to have maybe a few extra batteries as well, just in case. This is one of those, you know, really annoying emergency crank radio flashlight things. But in the case that you, once again, don't want to turn on your car and waste your battery, you could wind this up and listen to hear if they're clearing the roads or weather advisories or things like that. And it does have a flashlight. This does not require batteries, so you could just wind it and then use the light if you need to. Then I've got jumper cables. And once again, this is something I always have in my car anyway, all year long. This is just something that, I mean, I've had too many cars that I'll leave the light on or something, or maybe the battery's not so good and I haven't bothered to replace it yet. And this is just an absolute necessity all the time. A first aid kit. And this is just a really basic first aid kit, Band-Aids, alcohol swabs, things like that. Minor cuts and bruises. I have seen some people who, you know, in their car kit they have a really extensive one. And once again, if you do need medication, or if anyone who travels regularly with you requires regular medication, it's a good idea to put a little bit extra in with your first aid kit. Cell phone charger. It's good to have, of course I put in the one with the wall. I have one with a car attachment, but that would make too much sense to put in here. So having an extra cell phone car charger is a really good idea, because if you are stranded, your number one best chance of getting found would be to just be able to call somebody to come and get you out. But if your phone's dead or whatever, it would be really good to be able to charge it, even just for a couple of minutes, to be able to make a 911 call or something. Okay, and then this, just some protein bars, chewy protein bars, and once again, this kind of just goes along with the water. Even if you're only stuck for a couple hours, if you've got kids or you yourself are just like, man, I'm starving, it'd be nice to be able to bust out a little bit of a protein bar. And in an emergency situation, you would be able to, you know, maybe not live off of these for a long time, but at least a while. And once again, however much, you know, food you think you would need or would want to have in your kit, that's totally up to you. This is all I chose to put in there just because, you know, at the most, usually it's just my son and I, and maybe I'm optimistic that I hope I wouldn't be stuck in the car for more than 6 hours at the absolute most. Then we have some windshield de-icer, and you can just spray this on your windshield and it melts the ice. So if you've been stuck for a long time and maybe you finally get towed out, but you don't want to get out, scrape and scrape and scrape and scrape and scrape because you've been sitting there for 6 hours, then you can just spray this and it'll melt the ice for you. And also a Fix-A-Flat. Fix-A-Flat is great if you realize your tire pressure's getting really low, or you know, maybe you came out of the store and it's the dead of winter and your tire's actually flat and you know you can't go anywhere right then, you can just fix your flat, so to speak, with this little guy right here. Black trash bags. These are really, really versatile and really useful. These are good in 72-hour kits as well. You can do lots of things with this. You can wrap your feet and then put them back in your shoes if you're going to be outside trying to dig out your car. It'll keep your socks dry. You can collect snow and melt it over your car heater if you're dying of thirst and you've been stuck in your car for a long time. There's lots of things you can do with black trash bags. Oh, wet wipes. That's just so your hands can be clean. A blanket. This is just like a little cheap fleece blanket from Walmart, but I also have somewhere emergency camping blanket. These are really cheap. They're like $1.50 or something, but they'll keep you warm if you need to. And this is just soft. This is like plastic. It's not really cozy. It won't make you feel good in your heart, but the soft blanket will make you feel good in your heart. Rain poncho, same kind of thing. For me, for instance, I wore it's like a fleece wool coat tonight. It's not waterproof. So if it's sleeting, if it's snowing, if it's raining, and I have to be outside digging out my car, it's gonna get wet. So a poncho would be wonderful because it'll keep the moisture off of you, and then when you have to get back in your car, you'll be dry. And we are nearing the end. Hand warmers. These are also really, really inexpensive. You can buy them in big multi-packs. You can buy them individually like this. They also have foot warmers. They also have big ones that are sticky and you can put them on your back or your stomach or whatever. And they're awesome. If you guys have never had to sit outside in the cold, I've used these many times and they work really, really well, and they actually do, especially if you put one like right over your heart or over your stomach, it'll really help make you feel warmer. And gallon-size Ziploc baggies. To be honest, I just put these in here because I like having gallon-size Ziploc bags around. It makes me feel safe. So you never know when you might need to seal something away, right? I don't know. You could use it as a barf bag if your kid gets sick in the car. Whatever. I think they're useful for any number of things, and so I like to have them with me all the time. And the very last thing I have is just a little bag, which, like I said, it's specific to me because I have a 5-year-old son who's with me almost all the time, and it's just a little bag of stuff to keep him entertained because heaven forbid we were stuck in the car for even 2 hours. My goodness, what would I do to entertain this child? Well, I got WWE Uno and notebook paper and coloring and a pen and stuff so that he could hopefully have something to do to pass the time. And that's everything that's in my kit. But like I said, you need to, you know what you need, you know what the people who travel with you need. So just the list I gave you is a jumping off point. If there's something on the list that you just don't think you need at all, then by all means leave it off. And if there's something on the list or something that didn't make it on the list that you think is of vital importance, then by all means add it to your own list. Because like I said, everybody has individual needs. One other thing I do want to add for ladies, if any of you guys carry a purse, that's fine, I'm not judging, but most ladies carry a purse, most men do not. And in my purse, I just happened to notice I do have some things that I saw on other people's car lists that I chose not to put in mine. But it's because I carry them in my purse anyway. So like chapstick, tissues, gum, things like that, if you want to add little incidentals to your kit. Mine were already in my purse, so I didn't need them. Putting together the kit, you can do it very inexpensively. You can look at the list and just go through your house and find, pull things. You can go to the Dollar Tree, get things. You can go to Walmart. You can go to, one thing I did want to show, I don't know if you guys get the Harbor Freight coupons. They give out free stuff all the time. Useful things, tarp, batteries, portable LED work light, zip ties, work gloves. A lot of these things could be used in an emergency kit. You can go there, spend $1, and they'll give it to you for free. It's amazing. So Harbor Freight is definitely a good place to stock up as well. You can also buy pre-made kits online or in stores. I've seen them for as cheap as $12, and it just has the bare necessities. But, I mean, you can also spend $80 and get the works, or you can just do it yourself. Okay, tried to talk as quickly as I possibly could. Are there any questions? Comments?
I have a question.
Yes.
So where exactly in your car do you keep this? Is it best in the trunk, or do you want it in
Well, and
by
that-
passengers?
That is a good point. I have a minivan, so my trunk is open to the rest of my car, so I keep mine in my trunk. If you don't drive a minivan, though, your trunk might not be accessible, and if you're stuck in a snowbank, that might not be the best place for it if you don't think you're going to be able to get out of your car and go back and get it. If you have room to put it like in the back seat of your car, that's great. What I've heard other people do, somebody said it, where they put just water bottles and all their cup holders. You can put granola bars in your dash. You can put the map under your seat. It doesn't have to be in a nice little bag. You can spread it out however you need to, just so that you have the room. And if you're able to get into your back seat by pulling your seat, or your trunk by pulling your back seat down and climbing back in there, then yeah, go ahead and keep it in your trunk. But if you don't have that option, then you might want to try to keep everything up in the front so you don't have to get out and lose the heat of the car just to get the water or the cat litter or whatever.
Sorry, I have a
That's fine, no, please.
So with your water, you have a gallon of water, and I've had experiences where the gallon breaks because that plastic's not super strong.
Yeah.
Have you had any experience of it breaking in your car or causing you problems?
That
way?
hasn't happened for me. What I would recommend in that situation would be to maybe just keep them in a black, like the black trash bags, but you're so versatile, just put them in a black trash bag and just tie the top. And then if you go to pick it up and the whole thing is sloshy, you know it broke, just, take it out of your car.
If you keep yours that full, they will break. Because when it freezes, it expands. So you only want it like 3/4 full.
Okay.
And do they just roll around in the back of your van, or do
Yeah.
You can put them in a milk crate, they won't get as much.
Where do you get milk crates? We wanted one so bad today.
I don't know necessarily a milk crate, but
Or just like a plastic.
Walmart. In
Target,
there,
yeah.
have to go.
Oh, yeah, you can get a little, maybe
And like
put just
your
like a plastic cup.
home decorate or organizing section.
If you go in a car, you have to have this $100. Everybody knows that.
I know, but it's not on purpose.
I found some at a yard sale, I think it's like 4 and 4 pots one time. Just look around, yeah.
Are there any more questions or comments? Yes.
Just one thing to add, when you're talking about cell phones and calling for help. A lot of people turn off the GPS tracking on their cell phones for whatever reason. If you're calling 911, you want your GPS turned on because most dispatchers nowadays can map you as soon as that phone rings, they've got your location. But if it's turned off, they can't do anything other than whatever you tell them.
I think too, one other thing too, I think if you're going on a long road trip in the winter, let a lot of people know. Let your
Yeah,
neighbor know, let your parents
definitely.
know, let anybody
And let them know the route you're going to take, and don't deviate from that route without telling someone. Oh yeah, don't put it on Facebook.
She'll get robbed.
Don't put it on Facebook. Just call your mom and tell her. Or email it to her so that she won't forget. That's probably a better idea. Yes.
Yeah, we did travel to Idaho last year when the storm named Titan came in.
Uh-huh.
We actually were going over Vail Summit as it hit Colorado. That was horrible. Don't do it. But I mean, we were headed out for a funeral, so we had both sets of parents and we had checkpoints. And if we didn't call it that checkpoint, our parents were calling us to make sure we were okay. And then we ended up being the scouts for my in-laws because they were about 6 hours behind us. They were like, "So what are the road conditions like?" We're like, "Oh, you might want to stay the night wherever you are." So they didn't go over Vail Summit at 30 miles an hour for 3 hours with a police car as the pacer.
Fun.
That was awful. Don't do it.
No, don't.
I know, it was so much fun. It was my first energy drink.